Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Joey Johnson, the National AMSA President. That's for American Medical Student Association. I'm here to talk to you today about the HEA, otherwise known as the Higher Education Act. In particular, this year, there's a whole collective set of amendments that was proposed on it, known as the PROSPER Act, here in 2018, that they're going to try to get to attach onto the HEA when they reauthorize it, alright? If it passes, which is already passed the House, it's sitting at the Senate right now, it has wide-spreading implications for pre-nursing, nurses, pre-meds, meds, undergraduates, graduates, regardless of if it's either in the healthcare industry or not. So needless to say, I want you to learn all you can about this so you can go up there and speak competently and confidently on March 8th. Okay? Enough of the chit-chat now for the intro. This is the HEA video, which is the first video in the series of Least You Should Know. Sit back, let's learn a lot, and let's get out together. Just a couple of things before we dive right into it. I want you to look at the line ID down there at the bottom here in the signature on the first slide that you see. I want you to go to wherever you download applications on your mobile device and go ahead and download the line application, because once you download that, then you can add me as your friend. My line ID right there is Dr_Joey, and hit me up with the word advocacy. I'll know exactly why you're messaging me, and I'll put you into the advocacy room so we can all share our efforts and keep up with how this thing is going. Alright, let's create some real social change this year. Let's talk about the HEA. It began in 1965 under Lyndon B. Johnson as president, and it was part of his Great Society domestic agenda. It was up for renewal in 1998, in which they added question 31 that you have to answer all the time on your FAFSA, asking if you have any former drug convictions. And then again it was up for renewal in 2003, in which you had the group collectively known as the Alliance for Equity in Higher Education, and it was comprised of minority interest groups that pushed for incentives and grant funding for different programs that focused on minority and underserved populations. Yeah, that was a good idea. And so, because of all these proposals, though, parts of it got approved and parts did not. So what you ended up with was varying parts of the bill that were up for reauthorization or renewal at different times. Again, in 2008, it was reauthorized, but this time with an amendment to help out the disabled persons. Again, great idea, right? But now that brings us up to date to 2018, when the PROSPER Act has been proposed. And if the PROSPER Act goes through, number one, it was hastily pushed through the House, so it did not include anything for the dreamers, for those who were sitting back and hopeful, like I was, that they were going to be included in some type of way, you know, for getting some type of funding or whatever. It wasn't, and not only that, it's going to drastically shape the way that your college experience goes. So, let's get ready to go through these slides, and let's get out. Least you should know, and see what it is, how your college education experience is going to look a whole lot different than mine or anyone else who attended college before the year of 2019 and took some loans, okay? So phase one of advocacy is what I like to call the learning phase, because during this phase, you're actually going to figure out what you want to focus on, because you don't want to go in there and focus on all aspects of this bill. It is far too lengthy, and it causes more opportunity for you to fumble a little bit, okay? But just so you know, for background knowledge, okay, if this bill goes through, how will it shape the way your college experience is? Well, instead of getting all of your money dispersed at the beginning of your semester, you would get it broken up over the course of a semester, whether it's weekly or monthly. They still don't even know. But it's going to be one of those types of ways. Not only that, when it comes to repaying back the loan, instead of having 9 different types of individualized ways you can repay the loan like we currently have, there's only going to be 2 ways then, if the PROSPER Act goes through. One way is it'll be broken up into 120 equal payments that you would pay over the course of either 10 or 20 years. And the second way is it's going to be wholly income-based. The problem with that is, if you're married, it actually counts the income of you and your spouse collectively for what it bases your income on, and then gives you a percentage that you have to pay back on your loans per month. Imagine if 2 doctors were to marry each other. Think about how much you might be paying per month in loans alone. Okay, continuing on. When it comes to HBCUs and other groups that focus on minorities, it cuts funding for that. When it comes to different types of grants like the Teach Grant or the Thurgood Marshall Grant, those are all cut. No grants are eligible under it. The only grant that will still remain is the Pell Grant, which will increase by $300. But in place of that, they are also taking out the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. This does not just affect healthcare people. This affects firefighters, police workers, teachers, nurses. All right, all these people go to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program sometimes because they are then able to get a certain portion of their loans forgiven for each year that they serve in rural or underserved communities. So now we're not only hurting the people who are going to school, but we are hurting the community that needs those public service jobs the most. Continuing on, it's also going to cap the graduate amount of money at the graduate school level that you can get each year to $28,500. Are you kidding me? $28,500? The average med school student graduates now with around $200,000 in debt. The average med school yearly cost is around $80,000. So how are you going to come up with the rest of that money? We're going to explore that in a little bit. When we look at where it is right now, just so you know, it has passed the House, so just want to repeat that. And it is now sitting at the Senate level with the HELP Committee, which stands for the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, which is chaired by Lamar Alexander, a Republican out of Tennessee, and then also a high-ranking member is Patty Murray. You might have heard of her. She's a Democrat from Washington State. Okay, so between those two, we are looking for some type of new proposals to come out of the Senate, but that's where you come in. It is time for us to go up there and for us to advocate to make sure that they're doing their jobs and taking out the portions of the Prosper Act that we need to no longer even be discussed changing, okay? So phase one, now we're at the learning phase, all right? The three things I want you to focus on is in this acronym right here, PIG, P-I-G, all right? The P for Public Service Loan Forgiveness Programs. We need that to stay there. We need these people in public service to serve rural communities. Number two, interest rates. Believe it or not, part of the Prosper Act, if it goes through, then you will no longer have subsidized loans offered to you. Think of unsubsidized as being the you and unsubsidized as you are responsible for that interest. So the whole time from undergraduate onward, as you're taking out loans, the interest as it accrues, you are responsible for paying that or having it, pushed off to the side while it still accrues interest. Subsidized loans, which currently exist, means that all of the interest is deferred until 6 months after you're done with school, and so the interest rates do not accrue while you are in school. If this Prosper Act goes through, though, subsidized are a thing of the past. Only unsubsidized will exist. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program will no longer exist. And then the G in that PIG acronym you see there is for graduate loans. Those limits will be capped off at $28,500 per year. That's all you can borrow. So what happens to people who go to school and the average yearly costs are $80,000 per year, like a med student? Well, guess what? That extra $50,000 you have to come up with, you better have a family with the resources to give you that money, or you better have good enough credit so that you can go to one of these great loaning banks and get that money. But if you come from a low-income background like I did, or a rural background, or a first-generation college student, might not know how to navigate through all the muck and mire of predatory lending practices and don't know if you're signing on to a good loan interest rate or not, you're either going to get screwed or you're not going to be able to be a doctor anymore. All right, so this has far-reaching implications, like I said, okay? So phase two is the asking phase. Pro tip down there, this is where most advocacy efforts fail. Most people do not have an actual ask of their senators or representatives. This year you do. As you see in that PIG acronym right there, make sure that you're asking for PSLF. Leave it as it is. Protect the current state that the public service loan forgiveness programs are in. Oppose this part of the Prosper Act. You do not want these to become obsolete. This helps people, okay, that need it the most. This is not just a healthcare issue anymore. This is attacking rural communities. The I for interest rates, okay? We want to leave these as is. We want to protect their current state. We want subsidized loans to be available. Do not dispose of subsidized loans, government. If you do that, then every student going to school now is going to have their interest rates to accrue, and they're responsible for that. And Number 3, the G, grad loan limits. Leave them as they are in their current state. Do not impose some type of annual cap for $28,500. Okay, PIG, learn that acronym and learn it well. Number 3, the follow-up phase. Let them know you mean business. So in this case, 2 weeks after we actually go advocate on March 8th up on Washington, then we're going to have a national call-in day. I'm going to have a script available for you all to call all of the representatives and senators that you visited. And for those of you who did not get to come to Advocacy Day, here's where you kick in. You can call your own representatives and senators at their national office and give them that script in which we're going to be asking to oppose the PIG portions of the Prosper Act. All right? And then finally, number 4, the capitalization, trying to rush through this phase, which means for good measure, I want you to then follow up with the local office of your representative and senators. Swing by or give them a call. Let them know you need to set up an in-person appointment as a constituent, a voting member of their region, and you need to talk to them about the Prosper Act. Follow up, see how they voted. Tell them why it is such a big deal that these 3 elements are properly attended to, okay, and do not pass Senate. This, once you get done with all of this, this is what you will have completed. You see the stepwise advocacy chart that's on the screen right now. That just gives you all the steps, the different phases of it, what to do, and when to do it. Again, I will be announcing in the future the national call-in date, and then we'll announce a national email date to follow up with our visits on March 8th. And then the step 4 is something that you don't have to do, but I just wanted to give you an extra way to follow up individually now, make those network connections. You know, at the very least, you're going into your representative up there on Capitol Hill, going into their local office so they know your name, and showing them that you are knowledgeable and you can competently and confidently speak about issues you care about. And once you get done with that, congratulations, you have just properly advocated. So keep in touch with me. Download the Line application. Hit me up with my Line ID right there on the screen, dr_Joey. Message me the word advocacy. I'll know what you're talking about. I'll put you in an advocacy chat room, and let's share ideas together. Let's see how we progress. And most importantly, let's work together as a unit and create real social change. Thank you.